This is a production of Cornell University.
Welcome to the Mann Library Chats in the Stacks Book Talk series. In today's talk, originally presented at Mann on April 21st, 2009, in celebration of National Poetry Month, poets Frank Robinson of the Herbert F. Johnson Museum of Art and Tom Clausen of Mann Library and the Route 9 Haiku Group read a selection of haiku, senryu, and tanka, touching briefly on the characteristics of each form.
Thank you, Mary. Thank you, Tom. And thank you all for coming. With his typical generosity and modesty, Tom has arranged this reading, and I thank him for it, for including me. And that wonderful quote that you read, Mary, was really marvelous. Now, the quote from Tom that you read is a beautiful, beautiful definition of poetry. Of haiku and all poetry. But I thought I would talk briefly about what I think haiku is. Tom will go more deeply, I think, into the various forms, the rules and conventions, the humor, and the humorous forms and other forms of haiku. But let me say first what I think haiku is not. It is not just a short poem, or even a 17-syllable poem, which is what I usually write. We in the West are too mired in metaphor and simile. We always have to comment on the significance of our perceptions. For example, here is a famous and wonderful poem by William Carlos Williams that I'm sure we all know, very short, very visual. So much depends upon a red wheelbarrow glazed with rainwater beside the white chickens. Wonderful poem. But wonderful as it is, it's very different from a great haiku by Busan, who was also a painter. The morning breeze ripples the fur of the caterpillar. Difficult to imagine a European or American poet writing that. Or take this classic poem by the Tang Dynasty Chinese poet Li Bo. The birds have vanished into the sky, and now the last cloud drains away. We sit together, the mountain and me, until only the mountain remains. A profound poem, and not at all the poem of a Western writer, but still very different in focus from a haiku like this one by Shiki, motionless in the crevice of an old wall, a pregnant spider. At its best, haiku focuses on the thing itself. The perception of the thing is enough. There may be wider overtones and deeper significances to that perception, but they aren't spelled out for us. We have to do it. The founder of the form, Basho, had several principles he felt were important. For me, the most suggestive of them, both very clear and very mysterious, is the idea of slenderness. Slenderness. At any rate, here are two sequences of short poems, haiku or not, as for others to decide. Each one was written over the course of a year. The first one written just 2 years ago, and the second one that I'll read written over the last 12 months. The old man has so little time left. He has all the time in the world. In the mirror, for a moment, I see my mother's face within mine. It's been so long, our dog greeting us at the front door. Fast as I was, the couple with young children still beat me to the bus. Cemeteries are so selfish, so much space for people past their prime. The woman handing out flyers on the street frowns as she studies one. The The old man shows us his daughter's home, as if to say, I live here too. September 1st. The only sound is an apple falling to the ground. Old age, a kind of forgetting, or remembering, or in between. Staying at airport hotels, even at rest, always about to leave. At the tip of every leaf, the last drop of rain from the night before. A single goose flies by, looking for a leader or for followers. A cloud passes over the moon, and I remember how old I am. Like a lover on a bed, the snow lies in the field, waiting to melt. As fish swim, aware of the net, I too pretend to live forever. For 1,000 years, I was a child, an adult for just a moment. Lying in bed, waiting for my wake-up call, calling out my wife's name. What a nice reversal to follow in my son's footsteps through the snow. Like muddy paws on a page, our dog writes free verse in the morning snow. Should I say goodbye to that woman on the train I never spoke to? April. The snow hesitates, as if it knew it didn't quite belong. Most of the deer have left, except for one who didn't get the memo. Even in April, winter hides in the forest and comes out at night. My old mistakes follow me around like detectives picking up clues. At 3 a.m., lying in bed, writing a short history of my life. I feel sorry for those who survived me. My office is so messy. My companion for 70 years, my body's had enough of me. Azaleas in a vase. If something so perfect can die, so can I. Repetition is the soul of wit, says the mourning dove all day long. Who'll tell me when I become a pain in the neck, a figure of fun? There will come a time when I will long for these days of unhappiness. The heavy heads of the rhododendrons barely swaying in the breeze. She puts her hand in mine, like a butterfly visiting a flower. This second sex sequence, as I say, has been written over the last 12 months. Our morning walks are so exciting, from yard to yard, from dog to dog. How did this happen? After 40 years, we agree on everything. Like a Japanese bowl, I'm more valuable for having been broken. Looking into that mirror, my son, my every detail, magnified. At my age, visiting my parents' graves, asking them for their advice. Beauty, or rather the memory of beauty, will have to be enough. What is amazing is not that we died, but that we were once alive. Years ago, when people my age died, I thought they should be satisfied. Every time we pass her house, our dog wonders where our friend has moved to. How do I apply for the job of naming the craters of the moon? At 3 a.m., the cat's meow sounded too much like a child crying. How strange to be so old and not understand a thing about myself. If I were to die today, the world would just have to cope without me. A shower passes through, like a friend stopping by to say hello. I thought I heard someone behind me, but it was just the wind. Today, I'm pretending to be mature, one of my many disguises. A maple leaf on the street, like an open hand someone left behind. Halloween, when you can go up to a stranger and ask for candy. November snow, just one of the many things that I'm not ready for. A touch of snow mixed with leaves, a crazy salad waiting for the wind. Every day in this vast empire in my body, rebellions here and there. Affection, in the simplest way, our dog asks for something so complex. A museum director writing poetry is like a dog dancing. The little concrete boy in the garden is up to his ears in snow. Brussels sprouts. It must be a lovely city to name a vegetable. She flies to the top of the tree, and then, just in case, she flies away. They're quiet now, but when I'm not around, the deer must have lots to say. Baby's breath. The name is so lovely, I decide to buy a handful. The tree stretches out in every direction, like a couple in bed. I'm a coliseum, the place of 1,000 battles, and it shows. The pretty girl walks so proudly down the street, a gift to the city. Was I a success or a failure? There must be someone I could ask. The last snow of the year, a precious legacy melting in my hand. A string of traffic lights barely swinging in the breeze. Red, yellow, green. They'll say I died after a long illness, that illness being my life. From the plane, the earth looks like all those photographs taken from a plane. The language of insects, the language of dogs, so many still to learn. The deer know I'm harmless. Should I be insulted or complimented? How could it ever come to an end, this amazing event, my life? Not really a village, not yet a city. I suppose we're a town. At age 18, I thought I wasn't happy, but of course I wasn't.
Thank you very much, Frank. That was wonderful. And thank you, Mary and Evelyn, for publicizing today's event and our celebration of National Poetry Month. When I was in college, there was an anthology of poetry called News of the Universe, and it was edited by Robert Bly. And I always felt that poetry was like an alternative form of news. And so what you're getting from Frank and me today is sort of like your break from the regular news that you are so constantly beleaguered with. I'm going to read a selection of haiku, or poems that I think may have some haiku spirit in them, and then some humorous senryu, and then conclude with some tonka. Haiku are usually written in 3 lines, and usually, as Mary nicely pointed out from that quote, are in the present tense, very direct, with simple language. And they can happen any place, any time. Here's a bumper sticker that I once got. I've never seen this on a car. I'm dating mine because I think it's kind of rare. But in any case, haiku is something that, for me, I've been reading and writing for over 20 years now. And it's almost entirely been a very solitary event, something that I do alone when I'm walking, riding my bicycle. And so to be sharing it in a group setting is a little surreal to me, but I hope that if you like what you've heard from Frank and me, that you'll take time on your own to find a quiet, meditative place and read some haiku and find those that speak to you, and that perhaps make your own attempts if you're not already. Things or reasons why I like haiku is I like the brevity, the concision, I like the fact that it's very portable and something that you can carry around in your mind, and I like the challenge of trying to say something meaningful in as few words possible. I'm going to start with winter season and then work through the year. So I'm going to start with some haiku that are from winter. Winter sky, an empty nest left behind. Cold wind, a stranger looks at me like a friend. Snow flurrying, the deer, one by one, look back before they vanish. Bitter, cold morning, some of the sunrise compressed with the trash. Out to get the paper, just enough snow for footprints. Near zero, just rabbits and crows. Snowfall. My daughter asks where we are going. Heavy, wet snow. The cars creep by in clumps. In love, bicycling into the snowstorm. Undefended, in the cold rain, there's snow for it. So now I'm going to move into spring. And if it's not obvious, haiku require a little bit of participation. You need to put yourself in the place of the person who's writing and try to imagine. The poem, if it's successful, will allow you to sort of create its own kind of extended feelings out into what that being there at that moment might have been for that person who wrote the poem. The river, full of ice, broken free. Spring rain. The cat in the window washes its face. A child standing guard over a last little bit of snow. Wasting not a moment. Spring keepers. Downpour. A duck waddles away from the pond. Spring sun. Good enough, right where I am. Here I am again. Hepaticus too. Exam week. She lies face up in the rain. That was right outside Mann Library during end of spring semester exam period. And it was probably an intense time for almost everyone on campus. And I was walking down towards lower campus, and there was a student that had probably just taken an exam. And there she was lying down without a raincoat or an umbrella or anything, just lying down in a complete downpour and face up, just accepting the rain. And I thought it was a very cathartic thing to see that. Okay, now we're going to move into summer. Daybreak. The spider centered in its web. My arm snagged a good look at the wild rose, taking me back, water laps gently at the shore. High clouds, one horse leans its head against another. Left and right, he follows the way of his kicked stone. A little tree, not enough shade to sit in. Letting her walk all over me, ladybug. Empty classroom, windows open to summer. Crickets, my eyes closed to the day. Perseids, the space between clouds for one. Every year when there's the Perseid meteor opportunity, it always seems that Ithaca has some cloudy weather. It's been very few years where it seems like it's just been perfect, but I remember one night I was out there lying and there was a lot of cloud cover, but every now and then you'd see one in between the clouds. Hunting four-leaf clovers, students discuss their childhoods. Sidewalk sale. Wind twists a lifetime guarantee tag. Rundown docks. Minnows schooling around the trawler. And now we'll move into autumn. Autumn moonlight folded in the clothes on the floor. Lying in the leaves, the sun shares the shape of her corduroys. Potluck luncheon. A yellow jacket cleans its antenna. This was a Mann Library pot luncheon, and I remember seeing this yellow jacket cleaning. I just thought, oh my goodness, it must be overwhelmed with all these different scents, and what a dilemma it probably was having. On the way home, more geese on the way home. As we talk, wind blowing leaves out of the trees. Autumn nightfall, dropping my son off for something else. This is a group of haiku that don't really have a seasonal reference, but are the last set that I'm going to read from haiku. Mountaintop, giving back each breath. After our visit, in quiet, the things I forgot to say. Long wait alone in the parking lot, a dog in the next car. Passing through the battlefield, now a rest area. That's on Route 88. The way the light bulb rests in the rest of the trash. A few floors down, in another building, someone else looks out. Last ray of sun in the feeder, a sparrow. The cat's eyes so wide for a nap. Okay, the next selection that I'm going to read are a humorous cousin to haiku called senryu. And in many of the periodicals and anthologies of haiku, senryu will be mixed in. And typically a senryu is something that sort of pokes fun and touches on the foibles of the human condition. It's almost a little bit like a joke. It's pithy commentary about the human condition. And I'm going to start with a group of senryu which are focused on sort of poking fun at somebody I've known for a long time, someone that deserves being made fun of, and that's myself. Myself monopolizes me. Where I sit on my usual bench remains of a nut. My mistakes, no matter how many coats of paint, sneaking M&Ms, the crunching in my ears. Just as we're introduced, he yawns. On the bench, a young couple carries on as if I'm not there. My cat comes up close, then shies away. Alcohol on my breath. Older and older, the stranger saying hello to me. Down the trail, the horsefly follows my bald spot. Arriving at work just as the rain lets up. That's happened to me countless times. I get all my rain gear on, and I make my trip over to the library, and right as I'm getting here, the rain stops. Just oatmeal, the waitress says, enjoy. New Year's, recycling last year's resolutions. My wife tells me I'm going to make it. Common cold. Trying to figure how to spend it. A little free time. Most of the rain not falling on me. just in case, weighing myself again after the shower. Behind the officer writing out a ticket, I write this. The universe of my thoughts contracting. These are a few family-related scenario. Sometimes my poems about my family are not all that popular at home. I've tried to select carefully so that should some family member see this at any time or hear about it, I won't get into too much trouble, but I'll be careful here. Instead of an air conditioner, I return with popsicles. My children don't want to stop. Historical marker. Over and over again on summer vacations, I suggest, why don't we learn something about what this area we're going through? And never have they ever wanted me to pull over and read the text of one of those markers. This is quite a while ago when my daughter was very little. She wanders away. Her snail disembarks the matchbox truck. This is more recent. Yelling at my daughter to stop. Yelling. Last day of school, she tells me there was nothing more to learn. In the garden, right by St. Francis, the woodchuck hole. On the wall, Jesus on the cross, above her side of the bed. In her sleep, she steals back her hand. My wife catches me picking from the trash again. I'm a cat rat, I'll admit it. When in doubt, never throw out, and I'm always in doubt. She's the exact opposite. She's always in doubt and throws stuff out that she later regrets throwing out. Mixed blessing, my best critic at home. My wife admits she is not perfect, but is glad I am. Now that I'm over my bad mood, she's in one. My family hikes best when they make light of me. I'll never forget, we were climbing a little mountain in Vermont, and it was just a struggle to get Emma, my daughter, to really vigorously just keep moving. She'd have to stop every 20 feet or something. But they got into like making fun of me, and we just made wonderful progress during that time. Relatives set to visit, so many cobwebs to remove. First night away, we discuss our pets. These are just some general scenario. And then I'm going to conclude with some Tonka. On hold, branches in the window wave wildly. 90 years, each of her cocker spaniels named Honey. Busy bar. Another case of mistaken identity. Having brushed off several small ants, an extra large one. Mixed in with the instructions, her perfume. Urologist's office. A framed photograph of the falls. First Christmas card of the year, LLB. Quiet part. Out loud, a little one asks, when will it end? Behind the wheel, yet another of his personalities. Blowing her nose, just like me, the pharmacist. Defensive drivers, each waving the other through. Outside the prison wall, a woodchuck stands for a view. A couple holding hands, testing the ice. Cold season. Who gave who what at the office? Farm, country back road, just like them, I live one finger from the steering wheel. That was in western Minnesota. Everyone on these back roads in their pickup trucks, when I would go by them, their wave would be just like that, like a little flaming finger off the wheel. Okay, so Tonka is a 5-line poem with a 1,200-year history in Japan, and it's been called by one well-known Tonka poet who sort of is the father of Tonka in English, named Sanford Goldstein. It's been called a 5-line spill. He even had a publication that he edited called 5 Lines Down. It's some people's feeling that a Tonka often is almost like a haiku with then 2 additional lines that allow the poet to somewhat emotionally reflect on what's in the first 3 lines. That's one form of Tonka. Another way of looking at a Tonka is it's almost like a little emotional story. And the story gets revealed line by line. I became fascinated with Tonka in the early 90s when I read a Japanese Tonka poet named Ishikawa Takabuku. And he lived a fairly difficult life. He died at a very young age of 26 from tuberculosis. But in his life, he wrote many very confessional and very powerful Tonka, which appealed to me in their honesty and in how he used them as a tool to transcend his poverty and his difficulties that he was having in his life. And I found that there was an appeal to viewing Tonka as something that a person might use to sort of touch on themes of loneliness, love, changes in fortune, aging, the cycles of the seasons in a person's life. And so I selected a group of Tonka which kind of cover a variety of those themes. And we're going to start with a few that I wrote just recently. During the time I watch the hawk just circles, there is always more than meets the eye. The farther away it gets, the more magical it becomes. Those times at night, in the back seat, my parents taking us someplace. It was a hot day when I dropped a penny in the soft tar. Almost a year now, I've paid visits to it. A storm coming up, and as I take the laundry off the line, it occurs to me, this too is a moment to savor. Those 2 birds flying so close together, swiftly across the twilight sky, a certain happy, sad witness I provide for them. cold rain, in another town, the streets empty, from one house, a gift of wood smoke. Standing here, just watching the spring sun sparkle on the water, what is it they say about living life to the fullest? Early summer breeze plays the sun across the forest ferns. Everything's so nice, I hardly know what to do. The river must make so many curves to pass through the lowlands, the way nature always says something to us. Pushed by the wind, at the far end of the sky, a few clouds. I can see that what I want keeps changing too. Without fanfare, at dusk, I drag the dead branch to the brush pile. Another day risen and fallen from my life. Could be I'm tired or lost, but to close my eyes and nod off while the world goes on gives me a certain peace. Full of rain, the river races along past everything here. I can't shake this sense. I'm living on borrowed time. We work briskly into the momentum of the day, a long list of what to do. Once all there was to fall in love. Wind outside the mall, and as I wait, with my eyes closed, a killdeer calls from another life. In a reverie, at the long traffic light, it occurs to me, why would I want to do more faster? How ironic, coming to love this life and world, and at the same time, letting it go. While planting bulbs, my wife unearths a childhood cap gun of mine. I hold it, trying to grasp back then. What attracted me most to the poem had not so much to do with the poem, but that she liked it. About to be worked on, I wait in the dentist's chair, a little dance of thoughts and nothingness to go with the music. All these years, in one house, one job, one town, and in me. Too many changes to fathom as I sweep away autumn leaves. Each day a cycle, home to work, work to home, a quiet faith in things, as real as unreal, this way of being here all these seasons. Watching the smooth flow of water over stones, how few of my thoughts are new. Blowing across the plowed field, a sheet of newspaper with who knows what kind of news. Asked to arrange the flowers in a vase. I put them in any which way, so glad there are some things which can't go wrong. I asked him about his day, what he did, if he got enough sleep, and in response, a soulful look and purring. Sometimes we have 3 cats, and there's one of them that I think must sleep 90% of his life, and yet he wakes up every now and then, and he looks very happy, very contented almost all the time. So many things to have opinions on, yet as I drive along, I don't arrive at any of them. With thunder very close, our little dog gets in under my legs. If only I could feel so safe with myself. I've never been homeless, but think of it, seeing that shed with a broken window, dawn light streaming in. My beer gone flat, but out of duty I finish it, living all these middle-aged days. Revealed so long, this grain of wood on our floor, the distance yet we have to go. Just when I was feeling there is always too much to do, Cassiopeia, so sharp in the autumn night sky. Another ball game, and she wonders why I'm so taken by the win and lose, as if our lives were nothing like that. In line at the post office, I watch her, pen point searching for the last thing to say. Thank you.
This has been a production of Cornell University. On the web at cornell.edu.